Hi everyone, I'm Ryoko, a resident of the Animator Dormitory. In previous videos, we looked at the actual storyboard we made for the music video we're creating, and went over how storyboards are made, how to interpret them, and their terminology. In this video, I'd like to touch on the preparatory side of anime production. I'll be taking you inside an actual staff meeting that took place between the film's director, Kutsuna Kenichi, and her chief key animator. This video should give you a better understanding of how a director communicates with key animators, as well as what gets discussed during a staff meeting. These meetings are held as the team prepares for layout and key animation work, which happens once a storyboard is completed. In these meetings, staff receives comprehensive instructions regarding design choices from the producer and director. This might be explaining where and how they want certain things drawn, or what they are trying to convey through specific scenes. We call them style briefings for short. Their purpose is to share ideas and develop a mutual vision for the art style that the animators will draw in, as well as what references they should use to achieve that vision. What I'll play for you now is part of one of our actual staff meetings. This meeting was held between Director Kutsuna Kenichi and her chief key animator, who we will refer to as Person A going forward. As this is a conversation between professionals, there will be a lot of technical terminologies, but don't worry, I'll be expanding upon any complicated words as we go along. You definitely don't want to miss this insider look into animation planning, so don't click away.
Let's go over cuts, 19 through 22. First, this anime will use CG as well as background and cell animation, so as someone who worked on Vladlove, you'll probably feel right at home.
CG refers to animation that's done in 3D modeling software rather than by hand. Background animation refers to the artist in charge of painting the backdrops, and cell animation refers to the classic, hand-drawn animation that animators are known for. Also, Vladlove is a short anime directed by Mamoru Oshii, which these two also worked on in their current respective roles.
Starting with cut 19, the semicircle in the back down here is a planet. Here, we have space, a round window, and a wall in the spaceship. In the front here, there's 3 people on a table with drinks, decorative plants, all that jazz. One person is sitting on the sofa, and the others are just standing, so on and so forth. The space and the planet in the back will be part of the background. The round window and wall part here will be made with CG. If you could draw the window and add some construction lines to figure out the balance, that'd be great. The person in charge of CG this time will be learning as they go, so in the case that things don't work out, there's a decent chance these will be cell. I'll confirm that by the time I check and give your layouts back, so just in case I ask for your understanding. The plants, table, and all this in the front here will be cell as well. Moving on to the characters, there's 3 of them, and there are more detailed depictions of each of them in the reference material I sent over earlier. We've only decided on the references for their outfits, hairstyles, and shoes and stuff, but we haven't made detailed character model sheets just yet.
A character model sheet is a document that shows the design of a character in detail. Animation directors, or whoever is in charge of character designs, typically make them.
We haven't truly defined the style of the animation yet, so if someone's layouts or keyframes happen to click nicely, we'll just use those as is. I think some variation in style is fine, since this isn't a commercial production. Rather than drawing exactly to spec, I'd like everyone to use the reference photos and try drawing independently. There's no character sheets yet, or rather, I'm at the point where I'm thinking about redoing them to fit this aesthetic. Another thing, there's an old OVA called Alien 9 that I think Irie, Janika's chairman, did the character designs for. He might have directed some of the episodes too. I want to base the structure of the characters' faces on his designs. Looking at them from head-on, they have noses, but from the side, their faces are just kind of round and their noses disappear. Kind of like Moomin. Even from the side, they're Captain Tsubasa-esque. Does that make sense? Don't give the mouth a 3D shape. Just stuff it inside the outline like Moomin. Speaking of structure, to unbalance things a bit, draw only the details of the ears. Draw the ears on the larger side, with an abnormal amount of detail on the inside. It's not required that you draw the ear details just like Alien 9's. Each person can reference the ears and add their own spin on it. But I do want the ears on the larger side, and only the inner details on the grotesque side. With that in mind, we're still at the layout stage, so not everything has to be decided right now. You don't have to color trace the whites of the eyes or anything like that. Lines can still be a bit rough.
Color tracing is when an animator lines a character with colors that match the surrounding area of the drawing instead of just black. Coloring the lines makes the character blend in with the background rather than drawing attention to them.
Also, you know how we usually divide up the cells and draw out timesheets for them, right? You don't have to do those yet either.
Cuts are formed by layering batches of illustrations. We call these batches cells. Organizing and arranging illustrations to create a cut is called cell work. Whoever is in charge of the layout also does the cell work. When a scene has a lot of people or items in it, drawing everything on a single frame would mean that to edit just a single element in the frame, you'd need to redraw everything in that frame. That's where cell work comes in. Say you have a cut with buildings and people. You can split the buildings and people into different cells. That way, you can isolate the moving characters from the buildings, then add the building in later as another set of cells. If you've ever done digital art, it might be easier to think of a cell as something like a layer. The person who creates a layout also creates a timesheet, which shows how, when, and what parts of a scene will move.
I'd like to use an older style of drawing for the layouts. Like for this scene, the only thing that should really move here is the smoke. So you can just use one drawing for the layout in this case. If there's any movement in the scene, just roughly sketch it out and add some time codes to your sheet. Like frame 1 is here, frame 2 is here, just enough to get the idea across. At this point, we don't need to worry about the placement of our cells or where in-betweens are going to go or anything. I'd rather not use modern layout techniques for this project. Sure, those layouts are really descriptive, but you just have to redraw everything when they get revised anyway, so they can be a real time waster. I guess TV anime needs all that detail to stay on schedule. When they go into crunch time, everyone needs to be on the same page come post layout. But we've got some leeway in our timeline, so I prefer to use the old system.
Post layout refers to second stage key animation, in between, and finishing. Basically everything that happens after the layouts are done. If an anime is on a tight schedule, they'll plan out their frames and timesheets in the layout stage. That way, once it's done, the team can smoothly transition into cleaning, in-between animation, and touch-up.
For the plants and stuff here in Cut 19, just look up some cool-looking plants. Same goes for the sofa and table. These only show up in this scene, so just look around and come up with something that you think looks easy to draw while also being sort of futuristic.
Like sci-fi-ish.
Yep, I'm thinking I want all the furniture to look like it came out of a retro sci-fi work. Like a retro future kind of vibe. So take this round, futury sofa here. Basically, search for stuff that looks like what people would have imagined the future to look like back in the 80s or 60s. I want us to look at that style as much as possible. I feel like making use of the curved lines in our designs should help bring out that retro feeling. I'll send you over any material I can find, but if I can't find anything good, then feel free to look on your own and come up with some ideas. If you could finish off the couch, that'd be great. This desk, the vase, and glass and stuff on top aren't special either, so I'd appreciate it if you could iron out the details over here a bit more. Feel free to keep it simple. I'll leave all of that up to you for now. All that being said, only the smoke is moving in 19. All you need to do is show the movement in the layout. In Cut 20, the camera pops in on the side of this character's face. This here is a section of the window. The drawing is a bit rough, but it's actually 3-layered. There's a layer of glass worked into the middle of it. Since we have those layers there, there's a bit of thickness to the sides of the window, making it 3-dimensional. I'm planning on making this CG, so if you could just draw the shape in this place, that'd be fine for now. The entire outside view is just space. Then, there's this tree here too. I want to give this tree some presence in the shot, and I'm thinking it'd be easier to do that if the captain doesn't enter the frame. We could keep them somewhere over here, I think. The crewmate character has a basic bob haircut. When they put their hair behind their ears, it'll fall back down if left alone. They usually have it behind their ears though, so when the camera is on them, I think you should draw their hair back to show their ears.
There isn't any kind of camera involved in making anime, but a lot of animators will call the angle at which the scene is being shown the camera's view.
After this, the captain will press the apple they're holding against the crewmate's cheek like so, and their face presses back on it as they turn around. It's a difficult movement to express, but there's like a dent in their face, like a wrinkle. I'd like to show you their skin pressing up against it like this. In Vladlov, there were some see-through clothes that were a pain to draw. We have some in this, too. The fabric here is smooth and gentle, made of vinyl, so there will be some highlighting. That's in this scene too, 20. And in 21, the vice captain is relaxing with a cigarette. The smoke from their cigarette is moving, and in comes a glass cup or something with water in it. The shape isn't right, but they picked it up from around here. So if you could pick one of those to be the cup, that should work. The design isn't set in stone or anything either. It's just a bit round. But I'd like it to follow the retro future trend too. This part is a bit difficult. It's not all shown in the storyboard, but the glass of water is held out. Then, they take a cigarette in their hands and the camera focuses on them dropping it into the water. You don't smoke, do you?
I do smoke.
Then it should be fine. If you smoke, you'll know how it should look. Don't rely on the storyboard here, just draw what you think looks right. This cut might be more difficult than it looks, with the cigarette smoke and such. I think we might have to convey all of this through the keyframes alone. In reality, it doesn't billow up like that, but I do want to show some smoke in the animation. I think the cell will work for the transparency of the glass cup, so we need to figure out the cell work for the other stuff in this area, what to double up on, where to put the highlights and shadows, and there's water, so I think we'll have to add some effects too. If you could think about all of that as you go and write down your thoughts, it'd be a huge help.
Doubling is a technique used for showing two objects stacked or layered on top of each other. It's often used for shadows, water, glass, and other semi-transparent things where you want to show something through, or behind an object in the foreground.
In 22, the camera pans to the cup, and the cigarette gets dropped into the water. Think of the background here as the window looking out into space. The cigarette falls deep into the cup, and the water splashes up a bit. It sinks down with some force here, but even if a cigarette fell into water, it'd only sink for a second, right? Well, it's pretty light, so it wouldn't sink, would it? If you could, I'd appreciate it if you could try dropping one of your smoked cigarettes into some water to see what it does. If it doesn't sink down cleanly, then we'll just not have it sink. I think it'd also be fine if it popped back up again right after falling in. I'll leave that up to you and what you figure out. Between trying to animate the motion of the water and making the smoke animation look good, this storyboard might end up a bit loud. I don't think we really need a crazy splash here though. It's fine if it's drawn on the realistic, drier side. I'd rather focus on the glass cup, the water, and how we're going to do the cell work for the cigarette meeting the water. All of this will be cell, so I'd like you to think about what you want to do with it to make it look nice. I feel like that's what most of the layout work will be for. That was 4 cuts. I'll send out the reference photos for each cut later today or tomorrow. I'm not sure if they'll all match what I said just now, and there might be some pictures of sofas or plants close to what we need. Oh, I didn't mention it earlier, but this window here will be 3D. This one here. Please draw the outline. I think that about covers it. Do you have any questions?
Is this person to the very right here in cut 19 the person who drops the cigarette into the water?
The hand holding out the apple in this cut is on the left-hand side, and the one holding the cup is on the right.
Is the one holding out the apple the one in the vinyl-looking clothes with the glasses?
No, the one in the vinyl-y clothes isn't the one in glasses. It's hard to figure out, but it's the captain that's in vinyl. And the one smoking is the vice captain. The one pushing the apple into the cheek is the captain. The one smoking looks like this, with the glasses and wavy hair. They're wearing an oversized coat, with a sweater that's riding up past their navel. The knit on the sweater will be done with color tracing, and I'm thinking their pants will be pretty wide-legged. This is the person smoking.
So should I make them react when they see the cup of water? Like a little, ah! Or do they not react much?
This part here is probably more of a normal, you can't smoke here, you know, kind of exchange. Imagine that these two go through this process pretty often. Their cigarettes are always confiscated. So this is more of a, okay, sure, I know, sorry, reaction to the cup being extended, rather than a surprise. They're not angry or sulking, not upset. They're just a lazy kind of person who will smoke here no matter how many times they're told not to.
Are they all in their mid-20s?
Well, this one is still in their teens, maybe a high schooler or a college student. Go ahead and think of them as a high schooler. The other two are in their mid-20s, maybe late 20s even. I think the captain in vinyl could even be in their 30s.
Is the lighting in these scenes coming from above?
Yes, it's from right above and they're all front lit. I think that the only light we need here is top-down lighting.
Front lighting typically means that the lighting of a scene is focused directly on the face of a character or object, but here, it's being used to describe a balanced light coming from above.
This star should be pretty bright blue. A blue para or something like that might work to convey that. The light in the animation itself is even and coming from above, so the shadows would cast straight down. I don't think there needs to be too much shadow though. Just small touches where they're needed, like a touch of shadow under their jaws on the necks, maybe shading in their hair to show texture, or show some depth in their ears.
Para refers to a compositing technique that adds a layer of gradation over the entire screen. It's used for a variety of lighting and contrast purposes, like creating soft, shining light or darkness in rooms.
After the apple is pushed against their face, does the crewmate just support it with their hands, or are they taking it from them?
They're taking it, yes. This is also a fairly regular gesture for them, like a, here you go, oh, thanks, kind of exchange. Nothing special.
Like an everyday thing?
Yep, no special emotions or meaning. They're just thinking like, oh, they gave me another apple, thanks.
So there's no special backstory before or after this? Like their last ship just exploded, or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, the scene takes place after they finish their work for a bit, but that's about it. They do their work, travel around, and this kind of thing happens all the time. These kinds of accidents probably happen fairly often. Think of this as part of their routine.
I see. Got it. Thank you.
Does all that sound okay? If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me anything.
Thank you. I might have a few questions again later, and I'll ask when I do.
This will be done digitally, right? I sent over some layout paper just in case. Please draw it within that size. The resolution should be about this size too. I also put some timesheets in here, but feel free to use whatever you have on hand too. And if anything else comes up, just ask whenever, whatever. According to the schedule, the layout is scheduled to be done around mid-July for now, but going through the whole thing at once would be tough. If you could send things over as you finish them up, maybe around mid-June, that would really help. Since we don't have any production assistants, there's no one to chase around all the moving pieces. There's only me and Sugawara to keep the production moving. So one of us may check in with you here and there, but we'll mostly end up leaving everyone to manage themselves. I'm really sorry, but there won't be anyone to call and check in on you frequently. I'm telling everyone this just in case, because we haven't ironed out the style and atmosphere just yet. We'll likely take whoever can get their layouts and keyframes finished well and on time, and make them an animation director. I don't think I could direct this all on my own. Please consider this when you're working. If you can get things done well and quickly, you might become a director. If that's what you want and you can get your work done in early, we might ask you to direct the key animation here and there too.
I've never directed anything before, so I'm not sure I'd be up to the task.
Well, maybe helping with post-layout stuff is a better way to put it. But when I direct, I personally tend to treat everything like it's post-layout, so I think it's pretty similar. Right now there's a unit price, tax separate, of $90 and if the crowdfunding is successful, the budget will increase. So I'll just tell you now that the unit price may increase in the future. Right now we're paying $90, but we'll split the crowdfunding pool and see what else we can pay each person after. I think there's a good chance we'll give out a bonus based on how many cuts you do, so consider that too. Sugawara thinks we'll probably get a good amount of funding from overseas. For now, we're paying $90, but that might go up by a few tens or maybe hundreds of dollars. Hopefully more than tens. I'm thinking it'll be in the 100 range. This is a bit of a special system, but I hope you look forward to the potential bonus.
Our minimum budget for this music video was $50,000, and at the time of this meeting, the pay per keyframe was set to $90. The average going rate for keyframes is about $36, so this puts our pay scale in the not bad but could go up range. According to producer Sugawara, the crowdfunding campaign is going well, so we may even hit our highest goal of $180 per keyframe. That's all for this episode. What did you think? Thank you for always watching and leaving comments on my videos. If you have any questions about being an animator or the Animator Dormitory, please leave us a comment below. Thank you so much for watching this far. The Animator Dormitory is made possible because of fan contributions. For more information about dormitory crowdfunding, please check the links in the description below. Thank you for your consideration. As always, just watching these videos means more support for animators, so please consider watching other videos too.